Hey, what's up everybody? ESAM here bringing you another video. This one going to be my ESAM opinions, hashtag, of the PGR 31 through 40. Again, I'm able to make this video fairly early because thank you to Swar from PG Stats for giving me the list early because, you know, PG privileges. So I'm able to give you guys my opinions on all the people that are on the list earlier. So because it's like a high quality video still because it's like editing and things like that. 2 points that I wanted to make before the video started was one, I misspoke in my last video. I thought that the first 6 tournaments or your best 6 tournaments counted full weight and then everything else after that was lessened in like percentage based of your points, but it turns out it's actually just the top 4 tournaments. Between the time that me and Swar spoke about the initial thing, by the time we talked about that he told me 6, and by the time the PGR was actually released and they finally did their final calculations it was 4 and I was not aware of that, so that was my bad, I misspoke. So it is only your best 4 tournaments, and then after that things will slowly start to degrade in terms of the points you get for your good tournaments. And then something I also wanted to note is how the head-to-head works. So the way I thought about it, if you guys watched my stream when I went over my top 31 predictions, because that's all I got to, because other than that it was fairly stressful or like confusing. So I thought it was just basing your wins off of the last list by itself. And it turns out that the list was, or your win strength was kind of based on the end of the season and how strong the player was. So let's take 2 players that dropped, that like did worse this season than last season. Let's go with Wadi and Anti, because everyone so Wadi was already announced at 46, and I'm pretty sure most people think that Anti did worse because his results were kind of mediocre throughout most of the season. So winning against Anti, the way I thought, throughout the season would give you a top 10 win, but it turns out it gives you more towards, whatever number he ends up being, and I'm not going to tell you guys that. And similarly, a win on Wadi wasn't counting as a top 25 win or wherever he was on the PGR V2, but a win on the number 46 best player, which is kind of weird, and I'm really surprised they did that way. I really don't agree on that at all. I think you should always get your wins based on the last season, or at least like maybe like split it halfway between the season, so like the first 3 months count towards the PGR V2, then you can release like a mid-season analysis and kind of like where people are kind of headed, and then after that, base the wins off of that. I don't really know. I really don't like the fact that you kind of don't get rewarded as much for beating the high placement, or rather the high ranking players last season if they end up doing worse, so I'm not really a fan of that personally, because they may be going through some character crisis if future patches happen, which probably won't, but just in case, future patches probably happen, people have to readjust to their characters, blah 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 blah, their results may be hindered, but like beating them is still impressive because they're still a top whatever player. So I'm not really a fan of that, but with those 2 things out of the way, let us get right into the list, where number 40 is going to be my Florida boy, Manny. Let's go. Actually, let me just go over the full list first. So at 40, we have Manny. At 39, we have Myon. 38, Rich Brown, Ned, Hikaru, Earth, Raito, Shuton, T, and 6WX. So a lot of Florida, kinda, and then a lot of Japan, a whole lot of Japan on this part of the list, and I'll get into that a little later. So, Manny actually had, Manny, first off, I think Manny is an amazing player. I put him at the 2nd or 3rd best Sonic, probably. Ken being the first, 6WX being 2nd or 3rd, depending, and then Manny being the other person in that tied list, in my opinion. Combos doesn't count because he only goes Sonic in very specific matchups. So for Sonic mains, I think those are the 3 best. I'm really, really happy with how Manny plays in general. He's a really good guy, really good player. I personally love him to death. One of my favorite people from Tampa, if not my favorite person from Tampa. And he has a really good work ethic, and he's still relatively young and he doesn't honestly have that much opportunity to travel, but he went to Genesis and got 33rd, losing to Tweakin' 0 because he got the hellish 0 losers bracket run. So 33rd there, losing to 2 top 20 players easily, that's crazy. He's always done relatively well in Florida. He got top 25 or better at Dreamland and CEO. He beat 6WX at CEO, he beat Locust. He has a lot of really good wins, honestly. I think he has 4 wins. He has 2 other ones, I don't remember them off the top of my head. Swar gave me the player cards, I'm just lazy, and I'm looking at a spreadsheet on my phone, so I don't really have those available to me, but yeah, really good player, super good Sonic. He camps a decent amount, but in my opinion that's admirable because it's really hard to do that, because if you're losing, you still have to find a way to win, and Manny does that a lot because he's actually, in my opinion, inherently an aggressive player. When he plays as Roy, you can see that. When he plays any of his secondaries, you can see that, and when he has the momentum as Sonic, it's actually really scary because it's not just spin, up air, wait. Spin, up air, wait, it's like spin, up air, I'm gonna punish your landing, I'm gonna do all these different things, not necessarily with spin dash, but just with other things. He gets in your head and he pressures you a lot. So I honestly really respect him. I wish he could travel more and kind of get, like, because he can definitely beat a lot of people on the PGR, but he always ends up playing like a really top person really early in pools. Like he lost to like Rich Brown in Dreamland pools, and that's kind of a hard matchup, and he doesn't have Mewtwo experience. And then in losers, he lost to Salem, so it's like, okay, well that's, you know, he pretty much only has PGR losses at big majors, so it's really impressive for him. You know, he's probably one of the people that benefited from the best 4 tournaments because he only went to 4 big tournaments. This season he went to Genesis, he went to CEO, he went to Dreamland, and I think there was one more, and Frame Perfect, and then like he did fairly well at like a B tier event, you know, got a win on Mr. E or something like that. So that was really, I love this guy. I think he's really good. I know he can go up, but he needs to, in my opinion, go to Orlando and South Florida more, train more against like the super other top players from Florida, because he's fairly far ahead in his region, and I really want to see him flourish because he's such a good guy, and he's a really good representative of Florida in my opinion, and he's also loud, which is also representative of Florida. So yeah, Manny actually had an X factor of -31, so it proves that a lot of people kind of sleep on him. I think this kid is absolutely amazing. You know, apparently not a lot of other people do. Maybe Sonic factors, like I don't like Sonic. I don't know what else. Maybe the fact that he just doesn't travel enough out of state. But this kid is a real threat, and he takes names consistently, or only loses to really, really good players. So I mean, yeah, I love him to death. Next at 39, we have the other Florida player on this part of the list, which is going to be Myon. So Myon was a super sleeper, but he finally got a chance to travel this year. He has wins. He has at least a win on Tweak. You know, he's really good in all the Florida tournaments. He typically places top 6 or so. Similar to Manny, Myon actually has a really negative X factor. I think it was like -34. So again, a lot of people sleeping on him. People might not like Olimar. He just isn't traveled. You know, I feel like a lot of the wins he gets are kind of off stream, but he does have several really good wins. He has consistent tournament placings when he goes out of state. I think he's top 32 or top 25 like every major he's gone to, which is really impressive just because there's so many good players like everywhere, right? He's also a Wii Remote Nunchuck player, which is kind of unique because there aren't that many of those anymore. The other notable one being Scat, and who is below him. So I guess Myon is the best Wiimote Nunchuck player, so let's go Myon, let's go Florida. Southwest Florida, kind of like a mediocre region. Like Myon is far and away the best player there. The next best I think would be Kid G. You know, Myon consistently doing well in Florida tournaments. He has gone out of state more this season, done really, really well there. And yeah, I'm honestly really happy with him. He should have beat like Nairo at MomoCon. He was up 2-0 against the Zero Suit, was up like a stock and a half game 3, and then like super choked and then choked away the rest of the set, which was really unfortunate. That would have been a huge, we didn't, you know, Nairo ended up winning that tournament, so Myon alone could have affected Nairo's PGR ranking, but unfortunately chokes happen. You know, as he goes out of state more and gets more experience, he'll probably be able to solve that up, and so I'm really happy to see that he's on the list getting, you know, notoriety, and that he's able to potentially go more places and just like perform well, because he does that almost every single time. Next up, we have my Panda Global teammate, Rich Brown at 38. Had a really, really strong start to the season, beat Renai, placed I think top 16 or maybe 17th at Genesis, top 6 Midwest Mayhem Saga, beating a bunch of players there, including AC, who's on the PGR now, and that's the main win that I'm aware of from that season. Did fairly well at Frostbite as far as I'm aware. You know, had a shakier end of the season. He had jaw surgery. He underperformed at some of the sagas as well as CEO, but again, still really, really strong player. And now that he's like kind of recovering from his surgery, and we have a coach now, so he's doing a lot of like mental exercises in terms of, and like just being able to practice more and being happier and being healthier now that his jaw is like, he's able to eat food now, because for like a month and a half he couldn't. So, you know, it took a lot out of him, and now he's going to be back on the up and up. So I feel like he's going to go back up, you know, very soon to where he was. Again, maybe like a little lower because now there's more Japan representation. You know, the next season will probably have, you know, more Japan tournaments be worth something because there's more people on the PGR that are Japanese. So, you know, maybe in terms of his number rank, it'll, you know, go only slightly up as opposed to like in like still like top 25 like he was. But I'm very sure Rich Brown will come back in full force. Really scary player, you know, has a bunch of good wins just in general, and like no bias, love the guy. You know, that's why he's on Panda Global, because like all the people on Panda Global like every other person on Panda Global, because Panda Global does good sounding. But enough about Panda Global, because Panda Global, Panda Global, Panda Global, Panda Global. And the last North American until number 31 is going to be Ned. So Ned obviously had his huge splash at Midwest Mayhem Saga, beating Larry, beating Void, I think getting like top 4 or something like that. had crazy wins, you know, had beat Ally at that one Midwest Mayhem, or not, sorry, not Ally, he beat Zero, although he has taken sets from Ally before. You know, really strong placements, really strong player. Hopefully he can continue to travel, because he didn't go to Smash and Splash because I think he got sick. He didn't go to CEO, he didn't go to the Final Sagas. I think like the last big tournament he went to was that Midwest Mayhem, or maybe like Civil War. I don't really know like the timeline of everything, I don't really remember. But yeah, really strong player, had a lot of good set wins. He beat Larry, he beat Void, I think he won one of the Cloud Dittos that he had, he beat Zero. Like those are crazy wins, right? Like people like generally assume that those guys are top 10, so like those really impressive. You know, kind of slowed down after that, didn't have as many like breakout performances, beat MVD at Combo Breaker, and that's one of the things I remember, but he did lose to John Numbers because Wii Fit Trainer is scary. I'm actually, you know, speaking of which, I'm really surprised John Numbers wasn't even on like top 55, because John Numbers is amazing. First off, sidetracked, but yeah. So yeah, Ned, super strong, a really good representation of the Midwest, although now that like Zero lives in the Midwest, and False lives in the Midwest, and Tweak lives in the Midwest, and Nakat as well, and like all just the LOF house in general, now Cosmos, you know, the Midwest is actually becoming a pretty stacked region because they have that. They obviously have Zenodo, so a bunch of good players now live there. So a few PGR representatives as will go up on the list. I really hope he gets more practice and is able to grow as a player, because he does have some flaws. I feel like sometimes he's a bit too emotional, and that kind of hurts him because he gets like really antsy and like will blow limit fairly early, which is obviously problematic, because if you're Cloud, you want to hold on to your limit as much as possible. But hopefully if he fixes the one or two flaws that he has, he will then shine as like a super top Cloud, because in my opinion he's like a tier under the super top tier ones that we normally think of. And next we start the Japan invasion from 31 to 40 with Hikaru. So Hikaru, obviously explosive performance at Civil War, beating me, beating Void, beating Mr. R, getting top 8, he ended up losing to his fellow brethren from Japan, in also probably DK's hardest matchup, which is Rosalina, because he lost to Kirihara, so that was unfortunate. Crazy performance, amazing, has really good results in Japan as far as I'm aware. Really scary player, he's really fun to play just because he makes a lot of faces, and he does like, you know, he'll ding dong you and he'll just be like, oh no, like he does the taunts, everything. I love him. He was so much fun to hang out with when I went to Japan. You know, just obviously really strong player. The super good showing at the most stacked tournament of the year, which is Civil War, obviously helped him. I don't really know what else he went to in the US, if he did anything. I don't think so, but either way, incredibly strong player. I actually forgot, you know, I tweeted about this the other day. I actually didn't realize I beat him last Evo, just because, you know, after I lost to Nixie, I was kind of just like, I'm gonna beat whoever I beat, and then I'm gonna, you know, just keep going, and whatever, if I lose, I lose, if I win, I win, I don't care who I beat. And I beat him to get into top 32, and I didn't even realize that. So we're actually 1-1 in set counts instead of 0-1 like I thought we were. But yeah, just really impressive player overall. You know, he really just fishes. It's not even like fishing. It's like, oh, you're at the death percent for a grab. Why would I hit you with any other move and make it more difficult for me to kill? And so he will go for the grab over and over and over again. And he preys on the fact that people know that, so everyone's scared of him. And the fear is one of the most important things in this game, because it can force unforced errors. And then obviously, you know, with a character like DK, he capitalizes on them so heavily. And so you just really have to be careful. Make sure he doesn't get in your head if you end up playing against him. But Hikaru, absolutely amazing, love the guy. Next up on the Japan tirade, we have Earth, one of the most solid players in the world in my opinion, because Earth plays two characters that I feel like aren't that gimmicky. He plays Pit and he plays Corrin. Pit, obviously probably the most honest character in the game, doesn't have, like, even like the bad characters in this game have like better comeback mechanics than Pit, because, you know, Jigs has rest, Ganon has just like incredibly powerful moves, and Pit has like, I'm going to outplay you in neutral several times, get you in disadvantage, tack on a bunch of damage, and end up killing you because I am really good. And Earth is amazing. He is one of the best people at keeping people in disadvantage in the entire world. His arrow placement is superb. Like it's crazy how good he is with that move. Just in general, his thought process in neutral with Pit, you know, the choices of dash attack, dash grab, you know, roll backwards, you know, reading people's rolls, reading their defensive options, even reading their offensive options. It's amazing. He's so good. But, you know, Pit is still an character, so he can sometimes get overwhelmed by a bunch of like the, you know, broken characters, because like, oh, I'm outplaying you, I died at 40, whoops, I'm Pit, you know, that kind of happens to him. And then as well as his Corrin, you know, Corrin, still gimmicky, kind of. I feel like, you know, Pin is a really strong move, like Tippers in general, like incredibly powerful, but of the unfair characters, probably one of the most fair, just because slow character, you know, struggles to land, has an abusable recovery, although it is like kind of hard to mess with, but you can do it if you know what you're doing. You know, gonna plug my video down there if you want to learn how to edge guard Corrin, because, you know, I made a video about that. But yeah, so I mean, Earth just such a smart player. His decision making is amazing. I don't really know his placements. Besides Genesis, he got 25th because that's where I beat him to. But yeah, just I know he's got a bunch of wins in Japan because I saw the Japan tier list, or the Japan power rankings that came out recently, so I know he has a bunch of wins there. I don't really know of the wins. I don't really know the wins he got in the US, but just, I love him. He's such a smart player. I love watching him and Fua do doubles. Like his wife, they're just so cute. Oh my god. Just again, with most of the Japanese players, I like all of them, so I'm going to be gushing every time about all of them. But yeah, Earth, really nice guy. You know, I'm really glad to have been able to play him in tournament because it just showed me how good of a player he actually was. Like he's so good. Oh my god. But yeah, so really impressed. You know, I don't know if he's going to go up or down again. Plays relatively fair characters. Hopefully he can start going more towards Corrin than Pit, because Corrin, I feel like, has overall better matchups. But at the same time, Pit has a lot of control and doesn't really, you know, he can always feel like he can't come back just because he's such a smart player. He doesn't really have to feel, oh, my recovery's not good enough. Oh, this is good enough, because Pit has like at least good at everything. And just something I wanted to note real quick, so their overall scores of the last few players, so Earth is 43.6, Hikaru 43.2, Ned 42.9, and Rich Brown 42.8. So again, the fact that these guys are like, so they're 38 to 35, and the difference in their entire score is 0.8. So that's just how crazy close this was, just for reference. I think you can look at all those on the PGR. I think it says all of them, all the scores. But yeah, incredibly close. So like one more or less win, one better or worse placement could have been like 5 slots for all these players. So I just wanted to let you know that. But going into the next one, we do have Raito with a bit of a jump, a 0.7 point jump. So Raito, absolutely amazing showings recently, both in Japan and the US. He beat Larry Lur, he beat Mr. R, he beat Anti, he beat so many good players this season. He beat Renai, he almost beat Samsora. Like he's crazy. You know, I still think that people are kind of not doing the things they're supposed to do versus Duck Hunt just because I have a lot of experience versus the character. But either way, the way he sets up his traps, the way he conditions you throughout a set is insane, because I mean that's what Duck Hunt has to do, right? He has to be like a lot smarter than you in order to get you to fall into his traps. You know, some characters can't really deal with the ledge traps, but he's so good. The way he gets his kills, even with a character that struggles to kill so hard, it's amazing. And then sometimes you see it's like, oh, whoops, you're living to 170 because lol Duck Hunt. Like that does happen, but he's amazing, and I'm so happy. He's just always a happy person when he wins, and even when he loses, he's never like super upset. It's kind of just like an, oh, I'm out of the tournament, you know, good games, you deserved it. Like really warming and welcoming kind of guy from what I, you know, can see and communicate with him, because obviously I don't know Japanese. I love watching him play, and he inspires a bunch of like the mid-low tiers, because again, before he started doing well, like there was maybe a Duck Hunt here and there that was like, oh, you're doing pretty good. Obviously like Brood beat Zero and Zenodo, or rather, yeah, Brood beat Zero and Zenodo. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, before Genesis, it's like, well, yeah, Duck Hunt kind of sucks. Like, he's a mediocre character. And then suddenly he's getting, like, top 12, top 16, top 25 at like super stacked tournaments with a mid to low tier character. So he's definitely one of the people that gives a lot of hope into the lower level, or the players that play low tier, mid tier characters. And I'm really thankful for that, just because I like life in a game, and like I like when people can want to choose, you know, whatever character they want to play, just because like, oh well, Raito can do it, so can I, and you know, you can have that motivation. But yeah, just amazing player, crazy Duck Hunt. Oh my god, it's insane. His traps and everything are so good. He's so cognizant of like everything on the screen all the time. It's amazing. Yeah, so I don't know if he's going to move up or down on the next list. It's kind of hard to tell, because like, will he get better? Will people get better against Duck Hunt? You know, will they find the exploitations of the character better? Like, I don't really know. But either way, I'm really glad he's on this list, because he definitely 100% deserves it. At 33, we have the best Olimar in the world, at least according to this list, which is Shuton. So Shuton, crazy wins. He beat Dabuz at Tokaigi with an amazing, like, he got bodied game 1 and then barely won game 2 and then bodied Dabuz game 3. He beat Ally, he got like top 5 or 4 at Frostbite. I think he ended up losing to Nairo, which like, oh no, you lost to Nairo. You know, he's an amazing player. He doesn't get the opportunity to travel out of Japan very often. He lost to Locust at Civil War. I don't remember who he lost to in winners, but just a player, he has so much control over his character. His adaptation is, in my opinion, top 2 or top 3 in the entire world. You watch him download someone over the course of a set, and by the end of the set, you're just getting destroyed and you have no idea what happened, because you can't understand how these little tiny adjustments that he's making makes such colossal differences. He is amazing. He's so smart. He's just so good. I wish I got it. I just wish I was able to play him like at all when I was in Japan, but I wasn't able to. Just again, really smart player. where just everything about his play is just inspiring. You know, his Pikmin control is fantastic. You know, the ability to trap you into these certain places because he forces you into these weird scenarios, and then he punishes whatever option you pick because he's a genius and a god. And you know, it ends up leading him into having such dominant sets over amazing top level players. You know, if he was able to come to more US tournaments, I feel like he would do incredibly well. You know, as he has been. I mean, Civil War, he got, what, like 17th, losing to, like, he beat Trella and then lost to Locust, and then, I don't know if it was 17th or 13th, but whatever, it's on the card on the PGR. So again, if I'm wrong with any of my information, whoops, my bad, like, you can kind of just tell me, you're like, ESAM, you're dumb. Just comment, ESAM is dumb in the comments below, and this will see if everyone's actually watching this video. So, I love that player. I want to see more from him for sure, for sure. And the last Japanese player on this part of the list is going to be T at 32. So T, obviously, top 3 at Civil War, an amazing performance, crazy results in Japan. He's so consistent with, in my opinion, a really bad character, like low tier. He had an amazing run at Civil War. He beat Nakat, he beat Tsu, who obviously had his run at Frostbite. He had beat Abadongo, he beat Fatality, you know, just a bunch of incredibly impressive players. You know, got 3rd losing to Buzz and then Fatality and losers. Just, I love watching him because you just never know what's gonna happen next, because like I swear he always has like an extra trick up his sleeve, or his timings for his forward tilts and his up tilts are immaculate, and he always hits everyone with them, like regardless of your skill level. It's absolutely insane. He is such a good player. He's so smart. And again, similar to Raito, I'm really glad that, you know, these mid-low tier characters are getting a lot of representation on this PGR, because it's again proof, hey, you can be an amazing player even with characters that are generally seen as not good. So again, I thank T and Raito for that. But going from the low tier to what in some people's opinion is like the toppitiest of the top tiers, maybe not number 1, but like top 5, is going to be 6WX with Sonic. So 6 had a really strong start to the season. He got top 8 at Genesis Saga. He did fairly well at Genesis as far as I'm aware. I feel like 6WX kind of has like low notoriety just because he's a very quiet guy, doesn't really have a lot of social media presence, kind of just goes to tournaments, bodies people, and dips, and like no one knows him. He also has his incredible run at CEO Dreamline, where he took 0 to Game 5 and almost beat him, then ended up unfortunately losing to Samsora to get 9th that tournament, but still 9th at an A tier, pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure he beat Captain Zach, yeah, he beat Captain Zach there, which is a really good win. He beat 1 or 2 other like super top players as far as I'm aware, and yeah, just again, really, really impressive player. I love West to death. He's an interesting fellow, but I got to spend a lot of time with him at Genesis House. I feel like 6WX kind of has like low notoriety just because he's a very quiet guy, doesn't really have a lot of social media presence, kind of just goes to tournaments, bodies people, and dips, and like no one knows him. He also has his incredible run at CEO Dreamline, where he took 0 to Game 5 and almost beat him, then ended up unfortunately losing to Samsora to get 9th that tournament, but still 9th at an A tier, pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure he beat Captain Zach, yeah, he beat Captain Zach there, which is a really good win. He beat 1 or 2 other like super top players as far as I'm aware, and yeah, just again, really, really impressive player. I love West to death. He's an interesting fellow, but I got to spend a lot of time with him at Genesis House. You know, one thing I wanted to note is that Manny actually 3-0'd him in the Sonic Ditto at CEO, and so it's just like, it's really that, even though they're 40 and 31, again, that 40 to 31 gap is so close, just as the 41 through 50 is so close, and everyone, honestly, in this game is so close. Like, the number 2 or number 3 or even number 1 losing to anyone on the lower end of top 50 is clearly something that can happen, because 1, it has happened a lot in this game, and 2, just the skill gap between everyone is so close and anything can happen, which is, in my opinion, what makes Smash 4 so exciting right now, is you can never guess what the bracket is going to happen, because the one time you're like, yeah, okay, Zero's gonna win, Ally gets 2nd, Leo gets 3rd, something like that, you know, that would be Civil War, and that's what we expected, and then none of them got like top 25, and like, this game is crazy, and I'm so happy that just the diversity and the skill between all these top players is so close that it makes every single match potentially an upset and potentially really, really exciting, and is, in my opinion, why it's going to have such a good showing at EVO. And yeah, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Obviously, on Monday, I will be releasing the opinion video of the 30 through 21, and then obviously every day that the PGRs release, I'll release that. I will be working on my Pikachu guide pretty much starting today, since like I already edited my Pikachu matchup chart stuff. And so hopefully I can actually release the Pikachu guide. It probably won't be before June, because that's like 3 days from now or something like that. But hopefully I can get at least the first part out before EVO, and then the second part, before July ends. So that's what I'm shooting for right now. And don't worry, I will be attempting, at least like after EVO, to be bringing back stage select, breakdowns, the Four Glory series, so I'm going to try to get all of those there, but again, very, very busy. I've done a lot of traveling, and you know, even when I'm not traveling, I'm making videos. I'm making the matchup charts, because that was like 11 videos or something like that between the two characters. It's been a lot of work, and I've been training a lot, and I've been showing the results, and you guys will see that where my place with the PGR, because you know, I did pretty good. And yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.